What's up, everybody? Trevor Sikkema here, welcoming you into another episode of the Draft Network's live mock draft series. I'm very, very excited about the mock draft that we have here tonight because there's a ton of news to talk about, and we have a fantastic guest. You know him as the Associate Director of Content over at Pro Football Focus. You also know him as one half of the 2-for-1 Draft Podcast, and you also know him, you must know him, as the man with a mustache that is only second to Tom Selleck himself. It is Austin Gayle from PFF. Austin, my man, thank you so much for joining us.
Dude, thanks for having me, man. This was awesome. The intro and everything, it's feeling good, dude. And you also look like you're on like a 7D camera over here, okay? You look like you're shooting a movie, dude.
Listen, now that the season is over, I just called up Fox and I was like, hey, whatever camera you're using on the sideline, I mean, like, y'all aren't using it anymore, right? And they were like, oh, shoot, he's right. Like, we're not using it anymore. And so
I'm ordering mine tonight. I'm ordering mine tonight because I can't stand for this. I look homeless compared to you right now. It's a disaster.
Absolutely not. In no way, shape, or form. Austin, I'm excited about this because, you know, draft season is officially underway, as if you and I don't cover the draft all year long. But people are really starting to get into a lot of these prospects. And I think all the eyeballs are now on the mock draft. And I do want to bring that up before we start our little mock tonight. You recently released a mock draft over at Pro Football Focus. And, of course, the first question that I have to ask you is, which pick got the most hate? That's what, of course, everyone wants to know about mock drafts. Which pick and selection did you have that got the most hate?
I mean, this one's not even close. The Philadelphia Eagles going up and trading so they've traded from number 6 to number 3 with the Miami Dolphins to go get Justin Fields, the Ohio State quarterback. I had Eagles fans DMing me bomb threats. They're asking for my address to send me bombs. Multiple Eagles fans are DMing me how tough Jalen Hurts is, how much he squats. You don't get it. It's like absolutely absurd. I'm telling you, it is absolutely absurd. The level of detail they went into, like Jalen Hurts' character, like they sound like I called out Jalen Hurts' mom or something. It was incredible. And to see how many are still thinking of that after all this news has broken out, obviously the Carson Wentz trade to the Indianapolis Colts, and you see reports now from some Eagles beat reporters that they're in the market for a quarterback at 6. They might go trade up and go grab a quarterback to upgrade over the position. And the common feedback I got, why would they go grab a quarterback? They have Jalen Hurts to make an upgrade at the position. You cannot be satisfied at the quarterback position. It's not about finding a guy. It's about finding the guy. Go ask the Kansas City Chiefs if they're happy with having Alex Smith and then trading up to 10 to go Patrick Mahomes. They went to the playoffs with Alex Smith. They were successful with Alex Smith, and we're not satisfied. They went up and went and got Patrick Mahomes because they said, we like Alex Smith. He's good. We need to do better. And they did that with Patrick Mahomes. The Eagles aren't even in an Alex Smith situation. Jalen Hurts, as good as he looked last year, has not shown levels of competence to even Alex Smith levels. If you're in a position to go get a damn good quarterback, a guy that can be a top 5 talent at the position, you do it every single time. And I think the Eagles are in that position, especially after grabbing the extra draft capital in the Wentz trade.
And I mean, we've seen this from teams in multiple drafts as well. I mean, like, look at the Kyler situation. You know, like they had Josh Rosen. They just drafted Josh Rosen in the top 10 the year before, and they went, yeah, but we're picking number 1 overall, and Kyler's here. So I think you see teams with that kind of mindset all the time. I saw your tweet, like, kind of playfully responding to some of this, and you were like, I've now had multiple Eagles fans send me how much Jalen Hurts squats. And that is now my favorite. Like, we are beyond QB wins as a stat. Now we are at, like, QB squat numbers. Like, what is now their max rep on squat? That's going to determine how good a quarterback is. So, all right, you got the most hate for that one. Let's hear the pick that you loved the most. Like, which prospect team were you excited about typing into that mock draft and just excited to type the paragraph because you were like, yes, if this happens, it's going to be a home run for this team?
Yeah, let me think about that one. I do think that I really do like some of the fits I had, but the PFF board compared to where people think these guys are going to go is always very interesting. I think a fit I really like, and I don't think it necessarily a specific player, and we'll probably get into this on the show, but is the Las Vegas Raiders at attacking pass rusher. You know, a lot of people have them taking a lot of people have them taking Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah of Notre Dame. Some people have them taking Nick Bolton. If Micah Parsons falls that far, it's like linebacker. I really do think that this edge group, though there isn't a Chase Young in this class, there are enough freaky athletes, freaky projects at the position for the Las Vegas Raiders, especially with Gus Bradley there now. Gus Bradley has blitzed only 16% of the time over the past 5 years. That's the lowest in the NFL by a freaking significant margin. He does not blitz. He needs to win with a front four. And the Las Vegas Raiders barely have a front two. Like, it's not there, okay? They need help along the defensive line. They've been looking for a pass rusher since Khalil Mack left. I mean, this has been a bottom 3 unit, full stop, bottom 3 unit from a pass rushing perspective since Khalil Mack left. And they've tried to throw the kitchen sink at it. Cleveland Ferrell at 4 overall, Max Crosby, Arden Key, Maurice Hurst. They signed Malik Collins last year, Jonathan Hankins. Like, they try to invest in the position, and none have really panned out. I think the best of that group has been Max Crosby, but he's not enough. You need to continue to add talent at that position. I think this is a very good edge group to do that.
And, you think about who they're in the same division with, Kansas City Chiefs. And I know Todd Bowles did a number of things in that Super Bowl that were pretty cool, but really having that base game plan of, hey, we better get home with 4. And as we've seen against Patrick Mahomes before, the best way to get him is to really be able to pressure with 4 guys and be able to put more guys in coverage. And so for the Raiders, there's no doubt about it. They need help on the edge. A couple of other, I'm just looking through it now, a couple of the pairings that I loved in this one. You had Kadarius Toney going to the Packers, which I think is objectively hilarious to give Aaron Rodgers a weapon like Kadarius Toney. And then, oh man, where was the other one? Oh, Azeez Ojulari opposite Harold Landry with the Tennessee Titans. I love that. Those are the 2 that I was a big fan of in your mock draft. And so, yeah, we're doing one here. And you mentioned the Las Vegas Raiders. You have chosen to now control the Las Vegas Raiders. So we're going to do a lot more than just the first round. People of the show know this. What we're going to do here on Thursday nights is we do a 7-round mock draft. Our guest picks for one team. I pick for another. So Austin said that he's going to pick for the Raiders. I figured that it would be great if I then picked for the Colts, because this is the talk of the town. This is the news of the day. I get to measure in a Carson Wentz trade, objectively talk about whether I like it or hate it. And we'll get into that probably when I come on the clock. But Rob, if you are ready to go, we have Robert Juden on the other side of the glass doing the producing for us tonight. And Austin, if you're ready to go, then we'll get this thing going. You good to go, man?
Absolutely. Let's run it.
All right, let's hit the start simulation. And of course, as always, if a trade comes up, Austin, feel free, trade back, trade up, do whatever you want to do. You're coming up here at 17. Only got one offer. Wow, stingy.
Offer. I'm trying to zoom in here. Let me see. To come back down to 26 for a 4th rounder. What is this?
I know.
Refuse. I'm staying put. I'm staying put. The Cleveland Browns trying to fleece me right now?
Look,
absolutely not.
You only got one offer, and it was bad. I don't know what that says about your character.
I'm upset. I'm like honestly upset. Like, do you think I'm a bad GM? Do the Browns think I'm a bad GM? That's a good question. Let's see here who we have. These are your best available overall. Honestly, a lot of the edge group is gone. Cardinals take Kwity Paye just above me here. Who do we have left at edge here, Rob?
Yeah, let's go. Rob said they think you're Kevin Costner.
I am Kevin Costner.
All right, so we got Joseph Osai, got Gregory Rousseau, Jaylen Phillips.
Part of me is considering Oweh. I had Oweh going as high as 17 on my board, but it looks like there's some value on the TDN predictive board here. Maybe I lean somewhere else. You know what? Just to get an opportunity to talk about the kid, I'm going Jaylen Phillips of Miami. Jaylen Phillips of Miami is, and I know Daniel Jeremiah has said this, and I'll say this. I might have had this take first, is a top 10 talent in this class. If you take everything off the field, you take the concussions out of the conversation. You take some of the off-field out of the conversation. Jaylen Phillips is a top 10 talent in this class and easily could be, and maybe should be, the number 1 edge off the board. And I know Mel Kiper Jr. has him as the number 1 edge in this class. I think on PFF's draft board, he's either number 4 or number 5. Jaylen Phillips, people forget, former 5-star recruit coming out of California, had every offer in the book, goes to UCLA as like the freakiest athlete there. Gets 3 concussions, 3 severe concussions. I think 1 came off the field in a car accident. UCLA's doctor said, hey, you probably should stop playing football. And he does. He picks up a music career. I think he pursues an associate's degree and ultimately gets that itch. Miami, Florida comes calling. He goes back to Miami for the 2020 season and obviously plays really, really well. One of the top pass rush win rates of any edge player in college football this past season. I think if he can string it all together and he can stay healthy, he'll be the best edge group. He'll be the best edge of this class. So getting him at 17 with a clear needed edge, I think the Raiders go Jaylen Phillips.
He's been sneaky, right? Because people didn't really know what to think of Phillips. Former, not just high recruit, not just 5-star, number 1 overall recruit in the country when he went to UCLA. And so, like, no doubt the talent's always been there with him, but transfers over to Miami. All the talk was about Gregory Rousseau going into the season. Rousseau opts out. People go, oh, man, bummer. No other edge players other than Quincy Roche. But Phillips starts balling out. He starts playing well. He's healthy throughout the season. And it just felt like little by little, it was like, okay, now he's a top 50 pick. Okay, now he's a back end of the first round pick. Okay, now we're talking about him in the top 15. And so it's just like, we just keep creeping him up. And so for him to go at 17, that's not far-fetched at all. I think that's in reality with where we're seeing a lot of people talk about.
The other thing I'll add about that too, I've talked to a lot of prospects of late where I'm interviewing a ton of players for the 2-4 Drafts podcast. I've talked to Osa Odighizuwa, UCLA, former teammate. I've talked to Brevin Jordan, the Miami tight end. I've talked to Gregory Rousseau. Haven't had a chance to talk to Phillips yet. All three of those guys, and Levi Onwuzurike too, because they're working out together. Mm-hmm. All four of those guys talk about him like he's an absolute unicorn. Brevin Jordan said he'll run in the 4.4s. He said at practice he ran with the wide receivers. Like, man. I mean, I'm telling you, dude, they talk about this guy like a mythical beast, like he's from Harry Potter or some shit. I honestly don't know. Like, I'm telling you, Jaylen Phillips he's an interesting evaluation. I think so much of his evaluation comes off field and in interviews and in doctors' offices. But on the field, I'm telling you right now, top 10 player.
I mean, there are moments of his tape where you look at it and you just go, dudes that big should not be able to move that well. And anytime that's the case, you have to really pay attention to him and give him almost the benefit of the doubt in a lot of situations. So, okay, I'm up with the Indianapolis Colts. The Washington wants me to move up 2 spots for a 4th round pick. No, I'm not going to do that, especially given light of the Carson Wentz trade, because I'm already losing a 3rd this year. So I don't need to pop up 2 spots. All right, Chicago's getting all complicated on me here. What do they want? A 1 and a 3?
Oh, man. Just to go up 1 spot?
No, I'm not doing this. No, get out of here. No, absolutely not. Absolutely. What do you think? I'm Austin over here? I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this deal. Okay, Buccaneers want me to move all the way back to 32. That's not happening. No, the Colts can't afford to do that. No way. Saints want me to go back to 28. No, I'm not going to do that either. So got a lot of trades.
Mickey Loomis is always looking to come up. You know, Mickey Loomis has got hot on the trigger, dude. He's got to come up.
Listen, the New Orleans Saints are always in a winning window. That's it. Like, that's what they believe. And I have to respect it. I really do. So the big news of the day, Carson Wentz gets traded from the Philadelphia Eagles to the Indianapolis Colts for the price of a 3rd round pick this year and a 2nd round pick next year that could turn into a 1st rounder if he plays more than 75% of the snaps and they make the playoffs. So as a team that was a playoff team this year, you figure that they're probably going to make the playoffs next year. So that's our box is already going to check. It's just a matter of, is Carson Wentz going to be their starting quarterback the entire time? Because if it is, that's a big jump. Turn a 2nd round pick second round pick into a 1st round pick. That's a big deal. Austin, I'd love to hear, as I'm kind of looking at this board, what you thought of the Wentz trade.
I mean, I think it was a win-win for both sides. I do think the Philadelphia Eagles needed to get out of that situation. It was toxic, for lack of a better word. Yes, they're taking on the biggest dead cap hit in the history of the NFL, but I don't think they had a lot of options. I think Carson Wentz was on his way out of Philly no matter what. I do think that is the way to go for them. I do also think that the Indianapolis Colts needed to make a play at the quarterback position. And I think Carson Wentz was always going to be an option for them because of that Frank Reich connection. The problem is, and here's the problem, I just called it a win-win. The most likely situation for the Indianapolis Colts is also the worst case scenario for the Indianapolis Colts, because I think this is the most likely situation. I think Carson Wentz plays some of the best football of his career in Indy, but it's not enough to bring the Colts deep in the postseason. He plays in that quarterback 12 to quarterback 20 range that always gets you to the postseason or always has you in the running for the postseason, but never pushes them over the edge. So they're consistently drafting outside the top 10, outside the top 15, can never make that true upgrade. And they lose that 1st round pick because they're in the running for the playoffs, because they get to week 10 and they're 6-5 or 7-4, and then they're in a bad spot. You know what I mean? And that, in that way that, like, yes, you have to stick to Carson Wentz. Yes, you're going to be on the edge of a postseason berth maybe every single year because that team is so good. Really good offensive line. I like the receiving core they have, especially if they can add some pieces this offseason. And defensively, top 5, top 8 unit under Matt Eberflus. They're going to make the playoffs. And Carson Wentz is going to bring them there barely, but will they have enough to go to the big dance? I don't know. I think a lot of things have to go right for Carson Wentz and then for that to happen. Yeah, and you look at a lot of the teams in the AFC that could be at the top. Obviously, you have Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. You have the Buffalo Bills, who are playing on fire as well. You've got a team like the Baltimore Ravens, who, if they really start to figure things out, obviously they have one of the toughest weapons in football to stop it, Lamar Jackson. Like, these are all teams that you're going to have to see either. You're probably going to have to see at least 2 of these teams, and that's not including like Tennessee or any of the other teams that are going to kind of come up. Cleveland, if they improve the way that they need to. So it's the AFC is just really, really tough. And I agree with you that Carson's going to be in a really good spot, a better spot than certainly he was in Philadelphia this past year. I just wonder how far it gets them. Like, is reaching the AFC title, is an AFC title game participant banner like the best thing
that they're going for at this point. And that's what makes it tricky, because I thought that the price, I'm with you right off the bat. I go, hey, win-win, right? You don't have to give up a first or second round pick from this year. You kick it down the road, which is important because you're in a winning window. I thought it was beautifully done by Chris Ballard. I just don't know if like Carson Wentz is going to eventually be the guy. But what else were they going to do though? You know, the price.
No, they didn't have a lot of choices. I think it's either that or completely tank. But this roster's too good to tank. Even with Jacoby Brissett or Jacob Eason starting, they win 6 or 7 games. Maybe not 7. That's a little bit rich. But what I think happens with Carson Wentz is it makes the Colts top 5 to 7 team in the AFC. And honestly, I don't know how lucky you are to be that. You know, you don't really want to be a top 5 to 7 team in the NFL because it's going to be very difficult to acquire draft capital. It's going to be very difficult to upgrade at the quarterback position because you're going to be in this situation that the Colts are in now. They had to make a move for Carson Wentz. The Bears, the football team, even like you think about the team like the Niners, where they can get them into that range, but they don't have a guy that pushes them over the edge. It's going to take eventually one of these teams, and maybe not the Colts now, maybe not San Francisco now, to get aggressive like the Chiefs did and just go all the way up and go grab a guy. You got to go get a guy that can be a top 5 caliber quarterback. I don't think Wentz has that ability. Maybe Dan Orlovsky differs, but we'll see.
And that was kind of the other side of the coin, right? You get a guy in Wentz who, like you said, okay, the most likely scenario here is that you are a playoff team in the AFC, but you're not a top half playoff team in the AFC. But the other side of the coin is you've got to move up from 21 to like what? 4, 5, 6 at worst to go get a guy that you would really want to believe in. What's that going to cost you? 3 first-round picks? So it was like, hey, do we take a chance on Carson Wentz, which will objectively maybe only cost us 1 first-round pick? Or are we going to try to do our best to give 3 first-round picks to go get... Right. Send the farm. And you're not even sending the farm for Trevor Lawrence. Like, you're not even sending the farm for number 1. You're sending the farm for probably QB3 in this draft. And so it was tough for Chris Ballard. And honestly, I think that it was a good situation. I think this was the better call than trading all the way up. This was the better call. Like, going for Carson Wentz was the better call. But I do think best case scenario, Carson Wentz takes you to the moon, baby. Maybe Mahomes gets hurt and you get a Super Bowl ring. You meet that window. The second best scenario is Carson Wentz sucks. You go 3-6 to start, and you can bench him towards the back half and actually go pursue a quarterback. The worst case scenario is being in the middle. That's the worst case. And I think that's the most likely scenario. I think the most likely scenario is the worst case scenario, and that Carson Wentz plays good enough, but not good enough to make the postseason, but not enough to go deep in the postseason and win a Super Bowl. I'm with you there. Okay, so I'm up and now at 21. After all that talking of Wentz, now I'm actually on the clock here. I'm gonna go with the left tackle. I'm gonna go Tevin Jenkins. I'm gonna be able to put him at left tackle. I think you could put him on a strong offensive line. Get him in where Anthony Costanzo was. Number one thing for Carson Wentz is you got to get him weapons, and I think we're going to do that later in the draft, but you have to keep that offensive line a lot better than it was in Philly, and I think Indianapolis is a good spot for that. So with Costanzo getting out of there, Tevin Jenkins, he had a hell of a year this year at Oklahoma State, and so I think that he's the right prospect for him there, or just some offensive tackle, whichever offensive tackle they think can play left tackle the way that they need to over the next 2 years, that's going to be their guy at 21. So you got a trade offer here from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They want you to move up 17 spots. You got to give up a 4th next year and a 5th this year. That ain't bad.
I don't hate it. I kind of want to see who's on the board, though. You know, I want to see like who do we got.
Okay, we could do that. We could do that. All right. So
who am I coming up and getting? You know, like what am I making a play for? Mac Jones getting an upgrade over Derek Carr? I don't know. Asante Samuel. You know what? I'm going to stay put. I'm not a big trade up guy unless you're trading up for a quarterback. It's just so hard to accrue that value when you're trading up for a non-quarterback. So I'm going to stay put.
Wow, the ratings in the chat really hate to see it. They really do.
Everyone wants to see the trades, and I apologize. I honestly do.
See, I think that everyone wants to see the trades, but then at the same time, whenever I do a mock draft that involves trades, the number one thing people talk about is you gave up too much. Like, how could you do that? Yeah. And so, like, it's always just like people always have different values of different draft picks. So I understand you're protecting the rep a little bit. That's all right. So you're up here now at 49.
You have to.
You went with Jaylen Phillips, the very talented Jaylen Phillips in the first round. This is the overall board. If you want a certain position, just shout out to Rob.
I might go second swing of the bat on edge. Joe Tryon of Washington, if he does fall to 49 here, I'm starting to get interested. Levi Muzurike is another piece there. Maybe Basham Jr., honestly. Can I go back to the overall board, Rob? You can just kind of scroll down here. Another name I'm thinking about is Javon Holland, Oakland's own, Bishop O'Dowd High School. Don't forget, former five-star. Big fan of that.
Look at the background information, folks. That's why you tune in.
Let's keep scrolling. Chaz Surratt, absolutely not. Are we kidding here? You know what? I think I'm going to go Javon Holland. He can instantly play in the slot. Nice. He's from Oakland's finest. And I think, honestly, because Javon Holland, the Oregon safety slot corner, opted out of the 2020 season, he is getting freaking slept on, dude. It is absurd that Javon Holland is not being considered higher. And I think I have seen some people have him in their top 2 or 3 safeties or top 2 or 3 slot corners, depending on how you see him. But freakish athlete that can instantly get it done in the slot, and I think could potentially be like a legitimate versatile chess piece on the back end. One of the better Oregon defensive backs we've really seen in a long time.
Yeah, there were a lot of Oregon defensive backs that we were talking about going into the season, but Holland was definitely the one that stood out the most. And he was a player who, there were a handful of them that I was just really looking forward to seeing this season that we didn't get the chance to, but I agree with you. I think the ceiling is pretty high for him there. Indianapolis Colts, okay, I'm up at number 53. I didn't get a single trade. Wow, I guess people were insulted that that I didn't trade the first time at 21. Sorry, I had to make the pick that was right for my franchise, guys. Okay, corner needs an upgrade. Wide receiver needs an upgrade. Let's see wide receiver. Let me see it. I don't know what the future of T.Y. Hilton's going to be. They obviously have Michael Pittman. They have Paris Campbell. I love a deep threat guy.
Brown, I mean, Elijah Moore for the value could make sense, but I don't think that's they don't need a slot guy. I honestly don't. They got to try and feed Paris Campbell this year. But yeah, I wouldn't lean Elijah Moore here.
I wouldn't either. Okay, let's go corner. Who we got at corner? Ooh. All right, we got Newsome here. I think this makes sense. I think it's going to be
Newsome has the arm length that Eberflus literally goes to bed thinking about. Newsome is like an Indianapolis Colts corner now. You might as well freaking send it in.
I know.
Tyson Campbell too, though. Tyson Campbell's another one.
I looked at Tyson, but I feel like if I'm going one of these two guys, I'm going to go Newsome over Campbell. Last thing, let me see edge rusher. Let me see edge. Last thing. Let's see if anybody. Oh, Joe Tryon's there. You son of a gun.
Another guy with length.
Oh, man. I didn't want to have to think this hard. I thought we were just going to have fun on this show. Now I'm sweating. Got to turn the AC on.
I was talking to Levi Muzurike, and he said, I don't know if you've seen Joe Tryon lately, but the dude is big as hell. Apparently, he got big over the offseason. This guy's even bigger now.
Well, that's the only endorsement I need. All right, we're gonna go Joe Tryon. We're gonna hit the positional value. I'll go Joe Tryon here, even though I do need to hit corner at some point for Indy. Now I'm pretty happy with that. You go trenches on both sides for Indianapolis. I think that's smart. You're up now, round 3, pick 80.
Are you getting are you gonna have that round 3 from the Eagles in this draft for Indy?
I don't know. I don't know if we've updated it yet.
Okay, what do we got here? What do we got? Oh, it's updated. Rob's telling us it's updated. Okay, don't you doubt the mock draft sim.
Listen, I didn't want to make promises that I couldn't keep. I don't know.
All right, Washington
wants Proud Crabs for keeping it updated.
Washington wants me to come down 2 picks, and they're going to give me a 7th. Yeah, I'm going to fleece the Washington here, accept this trade. I'm going to
wait. You got to see the other one. You got to know.
Oh, I didn't know I had 2. Sorry. Rob's slacking. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, they're going to give me 2. They're going to give me 2 7ths to go down 15 picks. Absolutely not. I'm going to fleece the football team here, take it down, and I'm going to turn that 239 pick into a future Hall of Famer.
Wow, there it is. You just love the GM work here. All right,
who went off the board? Carmen and Quincy Roche. They wanted Carmen.
They wanted Jackson Carmen. Yeah,
Jackson Carmen is Cincinnati's own. One of the first times. So PFF is starting to grade high school. Not sure if you're super into that or not, but one of the first films we've got with Jackson Carmen in high school here in Cincinnati, the dude was just an absolute monster. It's hard to grade high school players because when you got a guy like Carmen, who's like, yeah, I am the biggest, fastest, most athletic person on the football field. It's crazy. It's crazy. All right, who do we got here? Ooh, Jabril Cox is immediately calling my name. I love Elijah Molden also. But I already took the slot corner here. Scroll down for me, Rob.
Jabril is perfect for them. They need the coverage.
I really like the Jabril play. I love it, but I don't necessarily want to. Does Gus need me to attack the defensive line? Who's on the phone? Who's talking to me? I think Jabril is probably where I'll lean, but I know they want to continue to kind of develop Littleton. They want him to see the football field, and they love Nick Kwiatkowski. This is tough.
Yeah, but you're the GM. You're the GM now.
I'm the GM here.
You're Mayock now.
I like Elijah Moore at this value, but Hunter Renfrow, third in Renfrow, I can't really do it. Let me think here. I kind of am leaning potentially offense.
Rob, go to
do
the my picks. Let me see the my picks. Let me see who we got so far. Holland, Phillips.
We're going defense. Trying to give Gus something to work with.
Okay. All right.
What do you guys have as the Raiders' needs here? What's next on the list? Interior defensive line, interior offensive line. Jabril Cox honestly could be the move. I'm going to go Jabril Cox. Let's go.
I think that's the move. Even though IDL is the second need after edge, like I think getting a coverage linebacker is really, really important for them.
Trading back and getting that 7th round pick, I'm just like you're reaping the rewards right now of the Washington football team. Dude, wait till I get to 239. Oh, I got another trade offer.
They want you to
come down a shitload of picks. Absolutely not. Decline this garbage.
Wow, 4. Les Snead's out here trying to wheel and deal you.
Oh, he wants me.
Look at this.
I'm not coming up, Les Snead. Get out of here. Get off the phone. Get off the phone.
Just counter with Aaron Donald. Just
I might have to. How many picks do you have, Snead?
How many first rounders do you still have? What's your next first rounder?
Sprint the pick in. Give me Marvin Wilson at Florida State. I know he had a bad year, and I'm big. I don't know what happened. I still haven't talked to Marvin Wilson. I'd love to talk to him because this past season, obviously, you just didn't see it from him. But pass rush moves and strength, I think that translates at the next level. I was hoping to see more from him in Mobile. I think better football's ahead for Marvin Wilson. And at this value, in the pick 120s, I'm going to take it back. I'm going to take a swing.
I like Marvin Wilson as well. I don't know where he's going to eventually get picked, but look, man, like Florida State football has just sucked like over the last 2 years.
Dude,
like
it's awful.
It's just not been a good play. And so like, how can the guy get stoked to play his best when the team's just going to be absolute butt around him? And there's some good individual players on Florida State, but it's seriously a low in that program right now. And so it's hard for me to look at Marvin Wilson, who had flashes on his tape the previous seasons that I really liked, and really just hold a lot against them this year because like I've already seen some of the stuff that I really loved from him. Yeah. But so I
remember every single week during the season on the podcast, we were like highlighting games to watch. And it's like, yeah, you guys turn on Florida State, Asante Samuel Jr., Tamorian Terry, Marvin Wilson, the edge defender that's slipping my mind. But like, they just never showed up. Like Florida State just never showed up. And I know you're a Florida guy, but just, Joshua Kando, that's it, Rob. Yeah, Joshua Kando honestly was misused. Like, dude's playing like freaking 15 snaps a game. I'm not calling out Florida State here, but maybe I am. It was just disappointing nonetheless.
All right, Rob, let me see the corners. I think it's time. I'm on the clock now in the 4th round. I didn't have that 3rd round pick. All right, we get Karen Vincent Jr., but I think he's more of a nickel guy, and they have Kenny Moore, who's the GOAT, so I don't think that they need him. Rodarius Williams is probably the next guy I'm getting.
Greedy Williams' older brother. Not sure if you're aware of that. Rodarius Williams is Greedy Williams' older
You know what? I did know that at one time, and then I forgot it, and then you just saying that reminded me for the first time in a long time. So that's
I think he was a part of like the 2014 recruiting class. Older prospect, interesting player to evaluate.
He is. So he doesn't have like a
Mormon trip or anything. Like none of that. I think it was honestly like I don't know. I think it might have been suspensions. I'm not sure. I don't know the reasons he's been around for so long. I think it might have been injuries as well too.
Probably true. Let me see wide receiver. Let's see wide receiver here. I don't love the corners. I might be able to wait on that a little bit. Ooh, Seth Williams, Sage Surratt, but Diami Brown's gone, isn't he? Yeah, you son of a gun. Daz Newsome I like, but no. Okay, none of these wide receivers are exactly what I think the Colts need. I like Surratt and Williams, but they're not. They're not the deep threats I think the Colts would need.
What about the Stanford monster, Simi Fehoko? Guy who can run in the 4.3s. It's like 6'5", 215. He's got like insane top speed, but like agility that is not.
I have not watched him at all. Does he is
a freaky
straight line?
Dude, he's a freaky watch. He was on the Athletics Freaks list as like a guy that can run in the 4.3s at 6'5", 210 or something. He's weird. I mean, not weird, but rare. I'd say very rare.
Literally popping on the highlight the second that this is over. Let me see interior defensive line.
You have to.
Oh, Jaylen Twyman's there.
Sprint it in.
Yeah, I think we got to sprint it in. We're going Jaylen Twyman. We're sprinting it in. It's funny because on interior defensive line, like Marvin Wilson, Jaylen Twyman, there's these guys that we talked about early on in the season, like during the summer as potential big time picks. And like, now when I'm running through mock drafts, I'm picking these guys in like the 3rd and the 4th round. You know, just kind of a. I just did not think that it would.
Yeah, I didn't know it would pan out this way. I think Twyman had some early round mock hype, or early first round mock hype, but it all changes, man. The mock drafts consistently change. Okay, what do we have here? Anthony Schwartz. I heard Henry Ruggs isn't going to pan out. Maybe I'll go with Schwartz, who can fly. No, I'm just kidding.
Lord.
Let me continue to look. Marlon Williams is another guy that but I don't really want to go wide receiver is the thing. Like, I honestly think they need to address it in free agency. Like, the Raiders have Henry Ruggs and Hunter Renfrow, two guys on rookie deals that they want to work. They also have if you only read preseason training camp hype, Brian Edwards is like freaking future Hall of Famer. So hopefully we get to see him.
Listen, I loved Brian Edwards.
I did it
last year.
I was not a huge fan of Brian Edwards, but we'll see. I mean, the hype was real. Let's check corner. I'm always down to get better in the secondary. Also safety if we can, Rob. I'm moving you around kind of quickly here, but
it's fine. It's his job. This is what we're paying for.
You know, do I bring Dede Lenoir and Javon Holland together? Also got Thomas Graham there, who showed up at the Senior Bowl. Scroll down a little bit.
Just make it the Ducks. The Ducks defense.
Trey Norwood also balled out at the Senior Bowl. Robert Rochelle is an interesting player too, like a guy who's like, small school, Central Arkansas, but a freak in his own right. Another guy that Marco Wilson, the guy who's going to throw the shoe. Let me see safety. I think I'm going to end up going corner, but we'll see how it goes.
Rob and I both went to the University of Florida, so that shoe reference, it's near and dear to our hearts.
Derek Forrest is also a baller from Cincinnati's own. You know what? I think I'm going to go outside corner.
I do like Derek Forrest.
He showed up to Cincinnati, I think, at like 6'6", 155 pounds.
What?
Dude, it's something along that absurdity. Like, I remember talking to some Cincinnati Bearcats beat writers, and they're like, he showed up and he honestly looked like a baseball player or something along those lines, but not to toss baseball. Damn. Scroll back up here. I'm going at the top. Honestly, I'm thinking Trey Brown. Trey Brown and Thomas Graham. Let's go Trey Brown of Oklahoma, a guy who had a really good week at the Senior Bowl, and honestly, you can't stop investing in the secondary. You have to keep doing it.
That's very true. All right, so, I mean, speaking of secondary, I'm right here. Ooh, let me see my picks. Let me see who I got. Okay, I got Twyman, got Tryon, and I got Jenkins. All right, so corner, wide receiver. These are the next two picks. It's got to be in
You're building in the trenches right now.
Well, look, it's just, it's how football is done. I think I'm going to go with Thomas Graham. I'm leaning towards Thomas Graham.
Patient.
Yeah, scroll down a little bit. Let me see. Is there like a diamond in the rough down here? Trey Norwood ain't bad. I like Trey Norwood. Go up. Give me Graham. Give me Thomas Graham. That's the pick. We gotta get a corner. I can't wait any longer. We're in the 5th round here. I can't wait any longer for a corner. I wanted to get a corner well before this, but the board was not falling to me. It was not very kind. So we had to pick one there. We'll get wide receiver next. Maybe. No promises. Man, we got a bunch of picks here. Wait, ain't nobody getting comp picks?
Dude, brutal. Wow, to see.
Now I'm getting. Rob said that he produced Thomas Graham's top schools video when he was coming out because Rob used to work in recruiting. Wow,
you love to see that background, Rob. You love to see that.
Listen, you're bringing the background. Rob's bringing the background. What am I doing? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just
what are we going after here, Trey? What are we going after?
Wide receiver. Let's see it.
Oh, you got Simi. Your boy Simi.
We got Simi right here. I could
Darden 2 and Cade Johnson are two guys that I like as well in this range. I mean, Jalen Darden can fly, absolutely fly. And of any of the guys that you're going to probably play in the slot to start, he has ran one of the more like diverse route trees, I think. Better than like some of the other guys that you could pick. Cade Johnson probably plays in the slot the next level because I think he's like 5'8", 5'9".
Yeah,
but he's got the moves. He's got the moves to play outside. Like, he looked good in the Senior Bowl. That's another guy that Mike really likes, Mike Renner.
Did Imad or Bebe, didn't he like have like a 46-inch vertical jump or something stupid that like came out?
His athleticism is nuts. His explosiveness specifically is insane. He's an insane dude.
Wait, click on Simi. How tall is he? What'd you say he is? He's like 6'4"?
I thought he was like 6'5".
All right, he's 6'4", 225, and you say he flies down the field?
4 threes, dude. 4 threes.
4 threes.
Apparently 4 threes.
Has some drops, whatever. I don't care. I don't care about that. We're drafting cyborgs on day 3. This player
cyborgs only is a new draft strategy.
It truly is. All right, give me Simi. I still have to go look at this dude's highlights, but apparently he's 6'4", 225, runs a 4.4 flat. I'm in. I'm about it. Ooh,
Don't
ooh,
want me to come up.
Bills want you to give up that coveted 7th round pick you worked so hard for.
Absolutely not. They don't realize I'm turning that guy into Hall of Famer. Okay, that's not happening. They're trying to doubt me. The Bills doubt me. They heard me. They heard me talking. Like,
Bills have been the victim of noted late round quarterback.
Here it comes, baby.
For too long.
Here it comes. It comes.
This is it. The 1-2.
Who's my best available, Rob? Who are the best available? Because I'm picking a fucking winner. Joshua Kando, honestly,
there you
Josh.
go.
I also like Josh Palmer. You want to talk about Patrick Surtain's tape, the Alabama cornerback. There's only a handful of receivers that gave him fits. If you can get access to the L22, you can see Chris Olave give him some run. But also Josh Palmer was a guy that could beat Surtain vertically, and I thought that was pretty impressive. Do I go Palmer? I'll think about it. Let's go down a little bit. Let's go. Trayvon Grimes, too, is another good one.
I mean, you're out here picking value. You know, like you're seeing names.
This
seeing
has to be a future Hall of Famer. So I just talked to Jimmy and Sherwood again. You want to talk today? I talked to him today. Plays like an asshole, and I told him, I was like, dude, you want to hurt people, and I get it, and I think that's a mentality that the Raiders want. But they don't need a second Jonathan Abram. They already have that in Jonathan Abram. You know, I don't think they need a second one.
Gruden would tell you can never have too many. You know,
you can never have too many assholes. That's for sure.
Lay the body on the line.
You know what? I think I'm going to go Joshua Kando, honestly, because we got to throw the kitchen sink at the edge, and I think Kando in this range at 239, some potential there. I'm going for it.
So wait, is Kando the Hall of Famer, or is this the Hall of Famer?
No, Kando's the Hall of Famer. Has to be. He's 239 because I think I traded the 239 pick.
Okay, all right. So congratulations to Joshua Kando on making it to the Hall of Fame. We're very, very excited for you. I'll
go Josh Palmer at this pick too because
why not?
I still don't believe in Brian Edwards. We need some competition in camp.
Talked him up and right after this. Rob, let me see wide receiver. Let me go wide receiver here.
I just took one off the board. You're not ready.
I know. Tamorrion Terry though. Tamorrion Terry. Give me Terry. I'm taking Terry.
Grimes, Florida boy Grimes.
It's fine. No, I need Terry. I need Terry's speed. Terry's got the speed. He's got the yards. He's got the his yards per catch average was insane. Now I got to look it up. I have to look it up because it was nuts. It was like 20. It was like 24 for a season or something.
Yeah,
crazy.
He can actually get on his horse too. For a bigger receiver, that guy can scoot.
Now it's 21. All right, so freshman year, he had 21.3 yards per catch. That's insane. Averages 20 yards every time he touches the ball. It's nuts. All right, so to recap this live mock draft that we have done here, Austin as the Las Vegas Raiders took Jaylen Phillips, Javon Holland, Jabril Cox. Rob, this is where you scroll. Marvin Wilson, Trey Brown. I went too fast for him. I really did. Kando, which the future Hall of Famer, Josh Kando, sorry. And then Josh Palmer. And then in my draft for the Indianapolis Colts to build around their new quarterback, Carson Wentz, I went with Tevin Jenkins, Joe Tryon, Jalen Twyman. We were building the trenches here. Thomas Graham. Then the man, myth, the legend, Cyborg Simi himself. Then Tamorrion Terry to round out the draft. I think we did good here, man. I
love it. I went all defense. And then Josh Palmer to boot, I think was the move. I mean, the Raiders defense is horrendous. I mean, it is. They need a lot of resources, especially if they want to run what Gus Bradley wants to run. Like, you're not getting away with only Jonathan Abram. And I think there's some cap casualties on there too. I think Joyner could be on his way out. It's going to be interesting to see how they address that defense. It's also super young, but like, it needs to get younger because they just don't have a ton of talent there.
Man, Mike Mayock too Mayock's always been pretty candid no matter what. I feel like that's just like his broadcast background that comes out. But, you know, I remember at the Combine a year ago, they were asking him about how he was doing as GM, and he's like, yeah, it's difficult. Like it's like harder than I thought it was going to be. I don't think he said those words exactly, but you kind of got that vibe. And then, of course, this offseason as well, he talked about how a lot of the rookies that he drafted didn't play as well as he thought that they were going to. And I don't want to say I've said that Mike Mayock's on the hot seat, but like Mayock's got to figure it out. You know, like it's a big year for him because we know Gruden's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So,
but the problem is that I don't completely understand who has 100% of the reins there. You know, I think John Gruden has a big path, and I think to have Mike Mayock on the hot seat and say John Gruden's flying high it would be pretty crazy to me because I think he has a heavy influence on the process. I think what I respected too with Mayock is that he was very open about, hey, we signed some guys in free agency and missed. You know, like we had some guys in free agency that just didn't work out. You know, like Corey Littleton didn't play well this year. Malik Collins didn't play well this year. Tyrell Williams has not played since they signed him, really. You know, LaMarcus Joyner has been playing out of position. Like, they have not been in a good position with who they signed in free agency. And then you throw in the draft on top of that, not considering positional value with Abram and Jacobs, fucking getting a little overdrafted with Cleveland Ferrell. And then you also throw in this most Damon Arnett. And I know Benjamin Solak, TDN guy, was a big Damon Arnett fan, but you're drafting a subpar athlete with short arms in the first round with off-field stuff. I mean, that's just bad process. Everyone gets on me. It's like, you know this. After the draft, you talk about steals, you talk about reaches, talk about like bad picks, good picks, and everyone's like, you don't know. You won't know for 4 years. You won't know how good he is for 4 years. You're not evaluating results. You're evaluating process. You're telling me as soon as a trade happens, you can't react to that process. As soon as a pick happens, you can't react to that process. I'll tell you right now, drafting subpar athletes with subpar measurables and off-field concerns is bad process. He could turn into a Hall of Famer. I'm just telling you that's bad process. You want to be rooting for or shooting for higher range of outcomes, higher possibilities when you're drafting that high.
Some wise words from Mr. Austin Gayle, the one and only. He does incredible work over at Pro Football Focus, doing the written content, doing the podcast, doing the video work, everything else. Austin, this was a blast, dude. I really appreciate you joining us.
Absolutely, man. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have to link up at some point throughout draft season. Either I go on your pod, you come back on this one, because that was a blast. Everybody out there, we've got another live mock draft series coming up on Sunday. Don't miss it.